Fury, Tom's Generation X. Story time with Tom Fury. Real story, truth, all truth. As when you do a channel, and bear in mind, I've got to realise that if you're seeing this on my newer channel, then you might be thinking, what's he talking about? So please understand that I have a second YouTube channel. It's a lot bigger and presence on X, etc. I've been around 7 years. So in that time, you come to realise that the moment you get over 1,000 subscribers, let alone when I got to nearly 20,000, the moment I got over 1,000, I was being included in conspiracy theories and just all kinds of weird stuff. And it's not just me; every creator is. The moment you get to a certain size, people perceive it as being bigger than it really is, and then all kinds of weird stuff starts happening. You start getting trolled, which is usually a good sign actually that you're growing. So. And I can see all those little signs beginning, even though this channel is very small still, I can see the signs that it's beginning to move exactly the same way my old channel sort of grew. But imagine, right, so you do kind of attract people that are on the internet all the time, and there are some people that are just looking for trouble. And I just want to say at this point, you also got a lot of far leftists or leftists, hard to place them, and people that are supposed to be on the right, that I've probably had more damage done to me by people who are supposed to be on my own side. And the people out there on the right, on supposedly at the moment, that many of you don't know why they're there, don't exactly know who they are, don't exactly trust them, don't exactly know whether to. I don't need to name names. Everybody's got someone in mind when I say that. So it's far left and possibly people on the right or infiltrators. I don't know who, but it doesn't. It's irrelevant anyway. So for me originally, for my story, whoever these people were, whatever side they claimed to be from, they were all, and I think they were from all sides, because far left and far right, pretty much the same thing. They were all desperate to prove a couple of things about me. I think it was around the time I started working with Tommy Robinson, so it was like, instead of giving me any credit, it was, how can we tear this man down because he's having some success? So, the sort of narrative had gone round even before I started working with Tommy that I was making thousands from my podcast and I was loaded and all this other stuff, which was one of the two things that they were trying to prove, that I was this loaded guy asking for money, and that actually I was living a life of luxury, and thus proving their second point, what a terrible bad guy I truly was, and a cancer to people. And these people felt that the genuine need to expose that. Now, up to that point, if they truly believed that, I'm kind of with them, right? So I'm granting them that. If they really believe this, I'm with them so far. So imagine this. Imagine yourself in this position. You're these people and you believe what you believe, right? So then you turn every stone. You investigate me as much as you can. You pull some naughty stunts. You call the state about me, because you thought that I was working when I wasn't, and wasn't working when I was. So you phoned the state about me at the wrong time. There's never a right time, but what I mean is you phoned the state about me and told them stuff that wasn't true. So therefore, they tipped me off. And I say you, they're not going to be watching this now. So this was the sort of thing that was going on as well in the background. And I thought these were attacks. They were attacks, but they're also probing for information about you. That's what a lot of it is as well. And so, jump forward in time. They finally have got all the info they need. And they approach me, and it becomes also really public knowledge by this point that actually I'm closer to poor than I am rich, far closer. and that contrary to their their narrative, they found that they couldn't find a way of calling me a bad guy. In fact, these people actually went out, actually were big enough to admit that they felt I was actually a good guy. So, mission complete, surely, at that point. You've gone out to prove that I'm these terrible things. I'm not, which is still a completion of your mission. You've gone and found that out. In a way, you've won anyway. You wasted a bit of time, but you've won anyway. If that's what they truly believed, and they did. And a lot of these things were becoming more and more public knowledge anyway. So they did. So it's like, wow, you've kind of won a victory there. But what they did from that point was to completely reverse the narrative, and to and all this, by the way, none of this is feeling sorry for myself. Sorry, this is about mindsets on the internet, and when you had a camera, perceived fame, how it warps people's minds. They went from all trying to prove all these points, and instead of just going, oh, not true, cool, instead of appreciating that, shut up. They no, they went the other way, completely the other way. And decided that if I was not rich, then they were going to, for some reason, shame me for being poor, and kind of turn me into the grifter character instead. Yeah, the grifter. So if I couldn't, so that it was the grifter role next, and then and then and bear in mind, these are people that think I'm a nice guy. So they're prepared to do this, knowing that you're a nice guy and knowing you're not guilty of anything. Just bear that in mind, because I had conversations in between with them saying, what are you doing? I thought you said I was a nice guy. You are a nice guy. But, narrative. So what was the other thing they asked me for? Oh, that was it, yeah. So the other one, this is the best part. So the other one was, because I wasn't a bad guy, they decided to shame me for being a good guy. Cool. Basically saying that I was naive and stupid for helping people like Tommy and that out and not extorting them for money, which was the very thing that they were originally accused me of. Found out it wasn't true, and then started berating me for the fact that I hadn't done the very action that they thought I'd done first. But yeah, so it's happened. That being berated has happened up until I had the last occurrence of it happened on X about 2 months ago, and someone came on there then, someone you would all know, and told me what a fool I was for helping Tommy and blah blah blah. And again, these are all people that have said I'm a nice guy, I've done nothing wrong. I'm one of the few people in the movement they know that has done absolutely nothing wrong to anybody. So think of the mindset. See, people don't understand why people on the right don't seem united. It's not that people aren't united on the right. Bear in mind, most people aren't on camera. Yeah, the people off camera aren't like this. The moment you add a camera lens, an audience of even a few hundred is enough for most people's egos as well. The moment you add this camera lens, and the lack of, what's the word, physical interaction because of social media, and like I say, just even an audience of 200 is enough to spark a lot of egos into want to defend that, what they see as popularity. It warps everything. I remember a guy I remember a guy coming on my channel one day, and he didn't realise that every bad thing that I've ever done, I told everybody on day one when I first come on here, because I felt it was best to, and the worst things I've done aren't that bad, but it was best to always start off in your worst foot so that nobody can ever find it out about you later and put it in your face. I've told people the worst things I was. So one day I started up a video, and I think it had a bong somewhere in the picture or something, you know. And he didn't know that wouldn't shame me. So he caught it and he showed me a screenshot of it and said, "I'm going to release this if you don't." I can't remember what he asked me for first. What he tried to blackmail me with the first time. But I remember laughing and saying, "You don't realise that I've put all my stuff out online already. I've got nothing. I'm not nothing to worry about." Um, and he said, "Well, well, I'm going." He apparently had, and then he told me he had an anti-Tommy Robinson channel, an anti-me channel. I didn't even know about it. And he said that he was going to, put this on there, and I said, "That's fine, that's cool. I've got stuff of it already on my own channel, so it doesn't make any difference to me." Anyway, I think he thought I was bluffing. So he said, I will, I will delete it if you give me a shout out. I'll delete it if you give me a shout out. Not money. He wasn't trying to extort me for money. He wasn't, and it wasn't bluffing. Like, he thought he was on to something, but he wanted a shout out. Just a shout out. And bear in mind, at the time I had, well, let's put it this way: the most I could have had is 20k subscribers, and it was closer to 10. I don't truly remember, but not a massive channel, not a famous person, and he's trying to extort me for a shout out. And I said to him, "Listen, you do what you want with the picture, and you do what you want with your channel. But if you want a shout out, why didn't you just ask?" And he said, "Well, you'll give me a shout out then." And I said, "Yeah, what's the shout out?" And he completely changed. And he asked me, he told me what he wanted me to shout him out. I shouted him out. It was nothing bad. I shouted him out. And he deleted that picture, good to his word. And he also went and deleted all of the Tommy Robinson stuff and everything off his channel. What a crazy. And if I could say, I mean, that's probably the craziest version of that story. But if I could say he was the only one, but he's not. There have been other people when my chat was busy, and it was a lot busier than it is now when I was going live, because I used to go live all the time, not do pre-recorded like this. And there would be people then, and this people didn't understand why sometimes I was nice to trolls, because sometimes there were people that felt awkward about saying hello. And I started to realise maybe it's because they think, because some creators are up themselves, maybe they think they're going to get blanked or they're going to get made a twat of, so it's kind of defensive. I don't know, but I've been attacked by other people that when I have given them an olive branch, have grabbed onto it with both hands, and wanted to actually be nice to me, but their way of trying to get through their foot in the door was to be horrible to me. It's a really strange thing. You had this lens, you put you that side of the camera, me this side of the camera. Most of us will still understand what's going on here. Yeah? And I know I shouldn't be breaking down the fourth wall like that, because it takes something special out of it all. But that's the truth of it. But there's so many people that don't see it like that. They have these, I can't call them rose-tinted glasses on. I don't know what to tell you. But what I will tell you is it's the majority of people. The camera, the lens, or the screen, depending on which side you're on changes people. It changes people. And it changes people when they see people they know on that screen as well. It's even like me, the way I get treated around here by some people. I don't mean getting treated special, but getting treated like someone who has access to power. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy perception as well. So, yeah, this video isn't being made for any purpose than telling a couple of stories. And I suppose because, like I say, a lot of these people were far left. A lot of these people, I think, possibly on the right. But all of them were maniacs. But it just shows you that hunt to find the bad guy, when they found out there was no bad guy and even had to admit it, which is very surprising for them. It was surprising for me to see them admit it, then go after you for the things that they found out. I just don't. You shouldn't try and understand idiots on the internet too much anyway. But most of it is, you can break most people's behaviour down quite easily. But that has me at a loss. Why someone would go out so hard to prove that you're a bad guy, say, oh, I was wrong, you're a good guy, and then go after you for being a good guy. If you can make sense of that, you're a better person than I am. None of this, by the way, has been said in anger. This is a long time ago, and it's kind of, it's kind of what makes it all such an interesting experiment. When I first started this channel, it was very much an experiment, an honesty experiment, because at the time, 2015, when I was looking to start, nobody was talking honestly, not the way I talk and the way, say, Vindicator talks or Danny Roscoe talks. Nobody just said what was going through their mind. So back then, I'll call it the honesty experiment, and it used to nickname the honesty channel, because I was trying out, how can I go and speak pure honesty? Obviously it's still opinion, but can I go and speak pure honesty? How will people react to it? Back then, it's interesting to note, back in 2018 when I actually launched the channel, people gravitated towards honesty a lot more than they do now, because now it's become a lot more about who's more popular. Back then it was about who was more honest. So there are changes that are happening, but that is unfortunately because we've got one foot in the activism business and one foot in the entertainment business. And people say, oh no, they will get very upset over you saying that. But the very fact that you're on here, having to play by the rules and having to use the same tactics, as in, the naming of your video and everything else, as people who are doing entertainment, means you're in the entertainment business. You're trying to get eyeballs on. So, yeah, unfortunately, when you stick your feet in both, you have to deal with what comes with the entertainment business, which is terrible people. So there's a few mottos in one there, or none at all, depending on which way you want to look at the stories. But again, there's no reason for me telling you this other than I've tried for years and years to let people know just how much this lens changes 99.9% of people. And the reason that it didn't change me, I've said a million times, but not on this channel, is simply because my friend was a fucking genius at music. I was not. But from 12 years old, I had a microphone stuck in my face. And then from not much older, I had a camera and a microphone stuck in my face and was constantly singing or performing or acting or whatever. So because of that fact, I became immune to it. It meant nothing to me and still means nothing to me. So I think it was because I'd had training as a kid, in a way. Not deliberate training, but that's what it ended up being. So I think that's why I got away with it. And there are other people that seem to have that same sort of, it goes over their head. But a lot of people, especially if they get popular, they lose their heads on here. Or a lot of the people watching, if they know you or whatever else, they'll lose their heads that you're getting popular. It's a very strange thing that you're only going to find in this kind of entertainment circle. Again, just the entertainment part, Anyway, Tom Fury, perhaps talking nonsense to some of you, but some of you found it interesting. I'll catch you soon.